Hi everyone, it's Tanya with Riley & Company here with another video in our Coloring with Tanya video series. You're going to love this one. It's super cute. If you love all things Irish and St. Patrick's Day, you're going to love it. Let me show you. This is RCLR49, our St. Patrick's Day set. It is so adorable. And of course there are dies to match. Look at how gorgeous this is when it colors up. Yep, now I'm going to give you a couple hints before we get started coloring. First off, this might look a little different. It's because this is my original master. I put them in binder sleeves. I keep my master, and then when I want to make a card, I pull it out and make a color copy. So I always have it. I also keep my colors down here on the side. So I always remember what colors I used in case someone asks, right? Look at the adorable little dress-ups that this makes. For those of you guys that don't know the dress-up series, think paper dolls, but with really cute little animals. So this is Riley dressed up in our St. Patrick's set. So let's get started. I've written my colors down here, and I am going to do all of my greens first. I kind of like doing that, so I stamped the whole set, and I'm going to do all of my greens first. I use YG06, YG09, and to darken I use G09. So let's get started. I'm going to use my YG06 first. Now I'm just going to go around almost everything that you see here. And then I'm going to come back and I am going to shade with circles. Now you can either do his suits black, like I did here, okay, or you can do it green, like I'm going to do here. Now when I use colors like this in a big area, I just simply outline every place that I want green. This is my lightest color. So we're going to outline everything. And then I'm going to come back in with circles. Now what that means is coloring in a circular motion like this. Some people like to shade going side to side and in lines. And if you go in circles like this, you get color that goes on top of color, that goes on top of color, that goes on top of color, and it saturates much better than doing that. See the difference between the two? So use circles. It will help your Copics blend better. And so now now that you've got the tips of outlining in circles, I am just going to finish up all of my green that I want to do. Now I've done my entire first layer with my light green. Here's another tip for you. You can use the same marker to shade with. So I'm going to go back over certain places and I'm going to add a little bit of shading. Now with the shamrocks and the hats, I'm just going to come, with the shamrocks I'm going to come in from the center just a little bit. And with the hats, I'm just going to use a little flicking motion from the outside edge in, because the light's always going to be darkest towards the back. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to take my next shade darker, which is my YG09, and I'm going to come back in and shade, but I'm going to do it in about half of the space that I did my last shading, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. With the letters, you're going to only work on the bottom. Leave the top the original color, okay? So you just need to think of where the light is going to be. So if the light comes from straight down, this top part's going to be lighter, the edges of her skirt are going to be lighter, the front of her hat and his hat's going to be a little lighter, and the edges of everything is going to be a little lighter. So we're going to take our YG09 and come back in and shade just a little bit more. Now I'm done with my YG09. I'm going to use my original color that was YG06 and come back in and blend out some of these harsher lines. You can do that with just using circles. Watch this. Now, there are a couple places that I went over the lines that I'm not real happy about. This is when I introduce you to my favorite marker of all time. It really has no color in it. It's called the Colorless Blender. I call it the Magic Eraser. So what we're going to do, you can see a little spot here that I went over, and there's a little spot there that I went over. This is the Colorless Blender, and all you're going to do is go back and like push the color back where it belongs. So I'm going to just keep pushing it just a little bit. You don't scrub it, you just push it a little bit back where it belongs. And it will take that color right out of there. You can also use it to lighten, but I tend to use it to erase my mistakes more than I use it to lighten. And you can find these on our website, of course. Now finally with my greens, I'm going to come back with my darkest green, and this is actually a G09. And I have it written down here. I'm going to be very, very sparing with this. I'm just going to go in and highlight certain areas to make them pop, and you'll see what I mean. Now we have the green done. So I am going to grab my next colors and let's do some grays. With the grays, I chose C0, and that is only for this part of the foam on the beer. C0 has just it's just a teeny tiny bit of gray, but if you add a little bit of gray to white, it makes the white stand out more, and it makes people think or understand in their mind that it actually is supposed to be white. That's the only place I'm going to use my C0. Then I'm going to use my C3 and my C5, and we're going to start coloring in the shoes and our pots and the hats. This will be my first color that I'm laying down, so I'm going to do it everywhere. Now, if you notice, the tip of my marker is a little soft. It's not real pointed. That's one of the things that I love about Copic markers are the tips are replaceable and these are refillable. So I need to go back and pull this tip out and put another one in, and I'll have a nice sharp edge or a sharp point to use with my coloring, which is a lot more effective, and I don't make messes like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and shade with my C5. Now, a tip that I want to give you when you're doing something that's round, if you want to make it look round instead of looking flat, pick a part. You're going to do a lower third. Okay, so here's 1, 2. So we're going to come back in, we're going to do our shadows, but we're just going to do circles in this lower third, and it's actually going to see the light. Now I'm going to bring this a little darker in here because it would be. Okay, but you're going to leave a spot here, and then we're going to use the same marker and come back in and do it again, but not a third. Go back down a little less. And now every place that I had these, I'm going to go back with my original C3, and I'm going to do circles and blend this all in, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And that gives you the nice round look that you're looking for. Now I'm going to come back with my C5 and I'm going to use it one more time, just a shade, just a little bit. And I'm done with my gray. Now the next color that we are going to bring in is the yellows, and I'm going to use two of my favorite yellows. I think if I had to only pick two colors out of the entire yellow line to keep, it's Y18 and Y38. They blend so beautifully together and they're perfect for almost everything. So let's see. Let's get started. We'll start at the top. And I'm going to start with my Y18 and color everything in. Now I'm going to come back in with my Y38. And I'm going to do even a little more. Now, when we do the coins, you don't have to be so specific because no one's actually really going to notice the little teeny lines. So I just color spaces in there to make it look like it has depth. On these, we'll color the underneath parts. But in here, I'm just going to make it just where it's a little darker in there. And that's all. And I will use my Y38 and I'm going to go back in and fill in all of the rest of the shadows. And that's all there is to the yellow. Now I noticed I missed a couple spots on her sleeve, so I'm going to go back up and I'm going to pick those up and fill them in. Now all we have left to do is the red hair and the pipe. The pipe is very, very easy. I just used an E35. You can pick up any brown you want. And I'm just going to come in and fill the whole entire thing in, and then use the exact same pen and do a couple shadows underneath. Now I left the little space in the middle for gold, so it looks like there's a little piece of gold on it. Super simple. That was my E35. And I'm just going to bring my Y38 and just come back in and touch it. Now all we have left to do is the red hair. Now using red, you could use bright red. There's plenty of people that have lovely bright red hair. If you can see on her, she has got little shades of red in her, but I'm going to start with browns first to give it a good base. So I'm going to use E07, E08, and then I'm going to bring in my red at the very end. So I'm just going to color everything in with my E07 first. Now, for those of you that don't know about our dress up series, you're wondering, why are you coloring pieces like this? It's so strange. I'm coloring them because this is Dress Up Riley. We have over 40 sets of little accessories, but we have 6 base animals at the moment. We're always adding more. Think of it like paper dolls, but with really super cute little animals. And we have a giraffe and a bunny and a little raccoon, and of course Riley and Penny the possum. We have a few more coming out as well. We're always adding little new characters. Now I'm done with that. I'm going to come back in where the shadows would be and just use my same marker again. This is going to go really fast. This is a little beard, because I'm not going to put a lot of color on it. I'm going to come back in with my E08 very lightly and just throw some shadows down here and a little under the hat and some right along his beard. You ever seen a giraffe with a Irishman's beard? It's quite funny. And finally, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to add my red, and it's a bright red. So I'm going to use it in the lighter places. And throughout this whole thing, you've noticed that I've colored and then I've colored over it. And what that is Copics blend together very well because they're alcohol markers. So if you put a base down, you're going to get a really fabulous blend. Do a little red out here. And if you want it more red, like this, start with your red instead. Now the key to getting really great highlights is this little gem right here. Jelly roll pens. I have a ton of them lying everywhere. They help me put accent marks on everything I do, and it showcases the highlights and where they're supposed to be. So let's start with our pots. So it looks good as it is, but if I come back in, and it always helps if you hold them straight up and down. If I add a white line on top of that, and if I add a white line down here, now it's really easy to see where the light's shining on it. You're kind of helping everybody figure out where the light is supposed to be. So she's going to have light on top of her shoes. There's going to be light on the edges of her dress. The color, the shading is back underneath, but the pleats that are on top are going to get lights. A little bit there. Her hair, we're going to put streaks in her hair. We're going to put a little light at the top and around her hat. This hat, and sometimes I just put 3 little dots after it, just to be whimsical. On his suit, there's going to be shading here. So basically anywhere that we want to showcase the light is where we're going to use our marker. On his little lapels, maybe a little in his bow tie, and on the letters, we are going to do just the top of the letters. Now the letters are darker. Now on your pens, I had somebody ask me the other day, if you can't get color out of your pen, how do you clean it? So a lot of times I just wipe it off and it works. You can also try alcohol, like a little alcohol wipe, and clean off the tip of it. And we are done with our sets. Here's our little Shamrock Riley and our Shamrock Sophie. Here he is with a black suit. There's his green suit. You would just use the dies to cut this out and dress them up on any character. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Now you know how to color our St. Patrick's dress-up set. It is RCLR49. I had to look on my sheet. I had to cheat there just for a second. RCLR49, our St. Patrick's dress-up set. Have a lovely day, and I hope you come back and see me next time. Thank you.